Okay, it's 27 June 2021. I'm Charlie Garrett, and this is the CG Report. Does the New York City MTA have a license to kill? That and a lot of other things to go over on today's report. Okay, let's see here. We'll get started today with a tweet. Getting subtle messages from U.S. officials saying, in effect, "We're coming for you, McAfee. We're going to kill yourself." I got a tattoo today just in case. If I suicide myself, I didn't. I was whacked. Check my right arm, and he's got a tattoo that says whacked. Nothing to see here. Let's move on. In other words, John McAfee just died, apparent suicide in jail. And before that happened, he got a tattoo that said whacked on it, and he tweeted out that I am not suicidal. So we'll see what happens with that. Starting out today with some news from Israel. Oh, before we do that, I'd like to welcome John Grimaldi. Came all the way from Hawaii. He's moved to Sarasota, Florida. He's attended online for about 10 years, and he just moved here from Hawaii. And he's got a place up in Bradenton next to quite a few of you. I mean, he's really close in the middle of all of you. So welcome to you, good sir. Thank you. And then we also have Stephen and Jill Dick. They're from a church in Inglewood, but they just moved to Sarasota about 6 months ago. And they found us online, and they thought they'd come up and share with us. So welcome to both of you as well. Okay, as I said, starting out today with some news from Israel. From the Times of Israel, just the title, Honduras becomes. I talked about this. I said they were going to, and they have become the fourth country to open an embassy in Jerusalem. So hats off to Honduras. And then from the Jerusalem Post, Israeli camouflage tech makes soldiers invisible. This made a lot of news this past week, but I thought I'd throw it in there anyway, just in case you have not heard of it. I try to include articles that most people have not heard. Even if you have, it's still interesting. Israeli survivability products company Polaris Solutions has developed a camouflage technology that renders soldiers on the battlefield virtually undetectable. If you look at the photo of them, they have a photo of a landscape. And that's all you see is a landscape. You don't see any soldier. And then they direct your attention to look for the binoculars right in the middle. And when you look, you say, oh my gosh, there's somebody behind this shield. It's rather incredible. In cooperation with the Defense Ministry, the company recently unveiled a Kit 300, an innovative camouflage sheet made out of a material that provides multi-spectral concealment. Nothing else like its camouflage sheet exists on the market today. To establish that, we actually registered a patent on it in many countries around the world. The lightweight sheet is made out of a special thermal visual concealment material comprised of metals, polymers, and microfibers. Thanks to TVC, soldiers are much more difficult to see both with the naked eye and with thermal imaging equipment. Thus, it can be used for counter-surveillance in a wide variety of military scenarios. Each sheet comes with different coloration on each side, one for dense vegetation and the other for more desert-like landscapes. In addition, the company customizes patterns and coloring based on client needs and geographic region. The sturdy material can be molded into three-dimensional shapes or folded into a compact roll. It is also waterproof, and it can provide shelter or be fashioned into a stretcher to carry wounded soldiers on the battlefield. So they have thought of all kinds of things, not just making a one application thing. They have got it for all kinds of things. Typical Israeli invention. From the Times of Israel, Pentagon chief confirms U.S. will replenish Iron Dome interceptors. The U.S.'s top military official confirmed that Pentagon will replenish Israel's Iron Dome anti-missile batteries as fresh hostilities threaten to put the system back in heavy use. Now, the only reason why I even included that is because 2 years ago or even a year ago, that would not have even been in question. They would have just sent him the missiles and that would have been that. But with our new administration, we have no idea what this guy is going to do. They're almost hostile to Israel. So I'm glad at least the Pentagon said that they're going to do this. From Ynet, for the first time in months, Israel records over 100 new daily virus cases. The health ministry says 125 people were diagnosed with COVID, highest daily tally since April 23rd, after test positivity rate increases to 0.3%. Certain businesses opt to resume indoor mask mandate a week after it was lifted. 1 week later, and they're already back into this. And then from the Times of Israel, 23 June, new COVID cases top 100 for the second day. Virus SAR, masks may soon return indoors. That was the 23rd, 4 days ago. Mail Online yesterday, Israel reimposes indoor mask rule amid surge in COVID cases despite one of the world's most successful vaccine rollouts. I wonder. From I-24. My guess is that we will be seeing them go into some type of lockdown or some type of extra measures shortly, knowing their track record from the past. I feel bad for everybody in Israel that doesn't want to put up with this, but you're going to have to put up with this. Okay, from I-24, Europe's largest digital publishing house tells anti-Israel staff to find a new job. Good job for this person. In a refreshing show of CEO not allowing staff to cow them into submission, German media giant Axel Springer's chairman addressed the company's 16,000 staff after several complained about the raising of an Israeli flag outside of its Berlin headquarters. I think, and I'm being very frank with you, a person who has an issue with an Israeli flag being raised for 1 week here after anti-Semitic demonstrations should look for a new job. Yes, Axel Springer was established in 1946 in Berlin that was destroyed in World War II. It has now grown to be the largest digital publishing house in Europe. It owns Bild, Die Welt, Business Insider, Politico Europe, and many other news brands, as well as Israel's largest classified ads website, Yad 2. We support the Jewish people, and the right of existence of the State of Israel is listed as one of Axel Springer's 5 essential values on its website. I would buy from those people. I mean, I don't want to be in advertising or anything like that, but if they sold, soda drinks or something, I'd buy them from them. Okay, from All Israel. In dramatic victory for religious freedom, Israeli Supreme Court allows tax-exempt status for Messianic nonprofit. This has been turned down in the past. The Supreme Court has said you are not going to do that anymore. Messianics have a right to tax-exempt status in Israel. When I sent this to Sergio in Israel a couple days ago, his main comment was, wow. Totally unexpected. The Supreme Court of Israel ruled in favor of granting tax-deductible donation status to a nonprofit organization of Israeli followers of Jesus. The ruling sharply criticized outgoing head of the Knesset Finance Committee for showing unfair and illegal bias against the Jewish followers of Jesus, generally known here in Israel as Messianic believers. The decision is being hailed by both Messianics and evangelical Christians as a dramatic victory for religious freedom in Israel. Good job. Now some news concerning the state of Christianity today. From LifeSite, anti-religion law in South Africa puts a target on the back of people of faith. Sad to read this. A proposed amendment to the Promotion of Equality and the Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act has been called the greatest threat to religious freedom since the advent of our democracy in 1994 by Nadine Bradenhorst, legal counsel for Freedom of Religion South Africa. If this bill goes through, every person and every organization of whatever faith will have a target on their back. Religious organizations will be expected to bring their doctrines and their internal workings in line with the bill, with government being able to prescribe what equality and no unfair discrimination should look like in their organizations. And as a result, religious organizations may well, in the name of equality, be forced to accept members or appoint leaders or employees whose beliefs go against the organization's own convictions and beliefs. This is not equality. This is tyranny, she declared. You can imagine what group of people is pushing this type of nonsense through as well. It's happening all over the world. From the Christian Post, UK Christian group alarmed by push to criminalize prayer in conversion therapy ban. While not opposing a ban that protects people from harmful pseudo-medical practices, the Christian Institute said the idea that gentle, non-coercive prayer should be included in a list of illegal actions is alarming. The charity issued the statement in response to a call from Jane Ozane, a prominent lesbian Anglican and former LGBT government advisor who is pushing for gentle, non-coercive prayer to be included in legislation banning LGBT conversion therapy. Supporting the ban, David Walker, the Bishop of Manchester, told The Guardian earlier this month, "Where activity has harmed someone, the person who has caused the harm should face prosecution." He added that activity should include a prayer aimed at changing someone's sexual orientation. However, Walker clarified that he was not referring to gentle, non-coercive prayer, but to where there is a level of power imbalance and a level of force. So, you can say what you want on your side of the aisle, but Christians can't say anything on their side of the aisle. And I will tell you that any prayer, if it is properly submitted through Jesus Christ to God the Father by a believer, has a level of power imbalance and a level of force that that person cannot even imagine. So that's what scares them, and they know it. From Epic Times, Supreme Court rules foster agencies can deny certification to same-sex couples on religious grounds. Who would have thought? Very good. The SCOTUS unanimously ruled that a Catholic foster agency in Philadelphia was free to turn away same-sex couples as foster parents on grounds of religious freedom in a 9-0 ruling. The High Court found that the city of Philadelphia violated the First Amendment when it refused to continue contracting with CSS, which does not certify unmarried couples or same-sex couples as foster parents on religious grounds. The Supreme Court noted in the opinion that no same-sex couple has ever sought certification from CSS, and if one did, then it would be directed to go to one of more than 20 other foster agencies in Philadelphia that do certify same-sex couples. So what's the problem? From the Epic Times, Texas governor signs bill prohibiting government from closing churches, places of worship. Another state with a wise governor that's making right decisions for the Christians in their state. From the Christian Post, Southern Baptist Convention Committee to consider disaffiliating Saddleback Church for ordaining women pastors. Good for them, and I would say that if they don't do it, they're not adhering to Scripture anyway, because the Bible is very clear, 1 Timothy 2:11 and 12, and other references as well. Go read your Bible and you'll find that out. What they're doing is anti-biblical, and they should be kicked out of the SBC. Because if they don't do this, the SBC, as it has been, is going to continue to go down the spiral. Some news from the Mideast and Africa today. From the Times of Israel, Palestinians cancel deal for Israel to supply 1 million COVID vaccines. The Palestinian Authority dramatically announced that it was canceling a deal in which Israel would supply it with some 1 million Pfizer vaccine doses to help with its floundering coronavirus vaccination campaign. The Palestinian Authority said the doses, which Israel began shipping to the West Bank, are too close to expiring. Before I go on, does anybody know what an expiration date is for? It's to tell how long something is good for. And if you haven't met that expiration date, it's still good for that. Okay, there you go. So, however, Israeli officials insisted that they were fine and should not be wasted. Palestinian Authority government spokesman Milhim said that Prime Minister Shatieh has ordered the cancellation of the agreement and the return of the vaccines to Israel. He said the Palestinians would not accept about to expire vaccines from Israel. Next article, Times of Israel, Health Chief. Same vaccines rejected by Palestinian Authority are being given to our kids right now. Now, whether you agree with that or not, they are using these same vaccines. So this is a publicity stunt on the part of the Palestinian Authority, and that is all it is. Palestinians sent back 90,000 vaccines expiring at the end of June, which is still 3 days away, 4 days away, and this was about 5 days old, so it's 10 days to go. But Israel using doses with the same expiration date to vaccinate children aged 12 to 15. So there you go. I would have no sympathy on those people, zero, if I was leading any nation on this planet. And the fact that we have nations all over this planet that are supporting them tells you that the world has gone upside down. From Zero Hedge, Biden orders major reversal of Trump's missile battery buildup in Gulf. A major realignment of U.S. defense priorities is resulting in a new extended drawdown of troops, aircraft, and anti-aircraft missiles from the Middle East, especially a prior missile battery buildup under Trump in Saudi Arabia. Can't defend them, no. The Pentagon is pulling approximately 8 Patriot anti-missile batteries from countries including Iraq, Kuwait, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, according to officials. Another anti-missile system known as THAAD system is being withdrawn from Saudi Arabia as well. And jet fighter squadrons assigned to the region are being reduced, those officials said. U.S. officials told the Wall Street Journal that the move reflects a Biden admin belief that Iran is no longer the dominating major threat to U.S. security interests in the region. Hawks have long argued, however, that a broader U.S. retreat from the Middle East would cede influence to Russia and its allies. Also, as proliferation of Russian anti-air system increases, the example of Turkey and its receiving S-400s remaining a hot, contentious issue in U.S.-Turkey relations at the moment. So everything that our president is doing is harmful. Everything. It's damaging. We have our oil coming from, well, we didn't need to have oil coming from Saudi Arabia because we were energy independent under our last president, but that was all stopped by our current president, and now he's harming our possibility of getting oil from the people that are supplying it to us because we're no longer oil independent. But despite that, it is allowing the door for Russia to come in and take over. Whose back pocket is this man in? We all know it. I mean, we've known this all along. This Russian thing about Trump was a complete projection. The Democrat Party of the United States has been in the back pocket of Russia for years. Okay, they were projecting by blaming it on Trump. And this is what's happening. And now we're being set up for Gog Magog right here. Zero Hedge.
Bring it on.
Yeah, bring it on. Next article. Listen, I just read you that. Here it goes. Zero Hedge. Major drone attack on Saudi Arabia just after U.S. missile battery drawdown revealed. They said we're going to pull out these things, and so what do? They start testing the waters. Times of Israel. Israeli officials warn no choice but to ready attack plans after Raisi win. Security officials believe Iranian President-elect Ebrahim Raisi will adopt Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's hardline views on foreign and nuclear policy and assess that Israel must once again ready plans to potentially attack the Islamic Republic's nuclear facilities, Israeli television reported Saturday. Channel 12 said Raisi backs a return to the 2015 deal limiting Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief, and the assessment in Israel is that an agreement with the U.S. to restore the accord won't be signed until August, when he takes office. In the meantime, however, Iran is expected to build up its stockpile of enriched uranium. There will be no choice now but to go back and prepare attacks for Iran's nuclear program. This will require budgets and the reallocation of resources. Iran's new president, known as the Butcher of Tehran, is an extremist responsible for the death of thousands of Iranians. He is committed to the regime's nuclear ambitions and to its campaign of global terror. As we span the globe, we try to never miss something interesting from Mongolia. From the U.S. Embassy in Mongolia, temporary suspension of dogs entering the United States from Mongolia. Yes, it's a crisis out there. As of July 14th, entry of dogs from Mongolia to the United States will temporarily be suspended. The CDC announced this action in order to protect the health and safety of dogs imported into the United States and to protect the public's health against the reintroduction of canine rabies virus into the United States. Dogs may not be imported from Mongolia to the United States without advanced written approval of the CDC in the form of a CDC dog import permit. So if you're planning on getting a dog from Mongolia anytime soon, you might put that on hold, folks. Okay, the book of Daniel prophesied that technology would increase in the end times. What's up in that regard? From CNN, microchip manicure turns your nails into business cards. A beauty salon in Dubai is giving new meaning to the phrase chipped nails. Lanur Beauty Lounge is offering a tiny microchip for customers' fingernails. The chips can have information embedded that allows them to be used as a digital business card or to pass on information such as an Instagram handle. They use near-field communication technology to connect with your mobile devices. We install the information that you want, like your name, your mobile number, your social media accounts, and websites as well. Lanur Beauty Lounge says it has completed more than 500 microchip manicures. Makarem hopes the nail microchip will have other uses in the future. I wonder what. From digital restaurant menus for waiters to contactless payments. So you want to pay for your dinner? Just swipe your nails across the old thing and pay for it. Or if you want to give your life away to the Antichrist, there you go. All right, let's see. It's a dangerous world, including the inevitable plagues of the book of Revelation and what they prophesy of. Let's see how that's developing. Before I get into anything particular about this, a note about DeSantis signing SB 2006 that may force vaccinations. I don't know if you've heard this. I've been sent it so many times this week that I am going to comment on it. Okay? Does everybody remember when Donald Trump was president, what the left did all the time? Yeah. They tried to subvert his presidency, not only in the news, but among his people, the people that supported him. Okay? It got to the point where Christians were believing this nonsense that they saw on YouTube and the BitChute and all these things, and they started saying, I wouldn't vote for Trump. And this is the left's tactic, is to destroy politicians and to get the base questioning their leaders. Okay? Here we go. The left is pushing this to erode his popularity as if DeSantis was behind it. Rather, it is simply a Senate bill that amends existing law. I've got the Senate bill where it was originally came out. It was approved in 2018, but that order can be declined. Nothing forces you to have a vaccination, and you can decline it, especially under religious law, exactly as is the case everywhere else. The idea here is not COVID. It is anything that is terminally lethal and that could really kill people. The state would be irresponsible to not have such a plan in place. They would actually be criminally negligent. Having such a law is intended for true emergencies. Those are my comments that I typed up. I want you to know it is already a law that's on the books. All he did, they came out the Senate bill and they updated the law and he signed it. He wasn't signing anything new. He's not forcing anybody to get vaccinations. This was approved long before he was the governor. If you hear this kind of stuff put out there, whether it's against Trump or whether it's against DeSantis, do your research, because these people want to undermine the base of the governor, of the president that is in power so that they can get their lefties in control. Anybody that did not vote for Donald Trump right now ought to be ashamed of themselves looking at the president of the United States right now. That's what should happen. You should say, I was duped, and I'm sorry that I was duped, and I won't do it again. That's what should happen. Yeah, good luck. Because people watch YouTube and they believe everything that they see. Do your research, check these things out, and don't watch goofy videos like that. But I appreciate the people that sent this to me. I got it again and again and again. I did the research, and I sent it on back to them saying that this is incorrect. What's that?
Is there a law that could force people?
Absolutely, and there always has been. There are laws that could force people to do things under emergency circumstances. This has nothing to do with COVID. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a specialist on this. All I know is that they have these laws in place because if they don't, when something really bad happens, then they've got nothing to stand on, okay? Suppose Ebola came into the country, okay, and people were dying by the hundreds of thousands, literally bleeding out of their eyes, bleeding out of their ears, and there's a real pandemic going on. Okay, what do you do if you don't have a law in place? What do? You have something in advance. What?
Call FEMA.
Yeah, call FEMA. There you go. They'll take care of it. Anyway, so everybody sees this. Everybody sees, don't believe these videos when they come out. Okay, from the Gateway Pundit. 4 healthy British Airways pilots die in 1 week. Airline says no link to COVID-19 vaccine. The first 2 guys were in their 40s. All 4 of them got their vaccines, okay? The first 2 guys were in their 40s and 50s. This guy, mid-30s, perfectly fit, no underlying conditions. He gets his second jab and he's dead within days. Exactly the same with the first 2. Because of this, British Airways are now in crisis talks with the government about whether to allow vaccinated pilots to fly. The issue with that, of course, is that about 80% of them have been vaccinated. So there you go. I just thought I'd throw that out from Mail Online. 4 British men developed potentially deadly I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct, Guillain-Barré syndrome just days after having AstraZeneca's COVID shot. Mail Online, nearly 4,000 women report menstrual problems, including heavy bleeding and delayed periods after getting their COVID vaccine, but Watchdog insists there's no proof jabs are to blame. Epic Times, nearly 4,000 fully vaccinated people in Massachusetts test positive for COVID-19. Yahoo, more Australians have died from AstraZeneca-related clots than COVID this year. Fox 21. I'm just reporting this. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm not saying it's correct. I'm not endorsing or not endorsing anything, okay? So YouTube, if you see this, I'm just reporting what the news says. That was Yahoo. They reported it. Fox 21. Cause of Colorado boy's death under investigation by CDC. A new report in the CDC VAERS reporting system, which means it's CDC reporting system, said that a 15-year-old boy from Colorado died from cardiac failure 2 days after receiving the Pfizer COVID vaccine. There are no pre-existing conditions or allergies listed. And then from Breitbart on the same subject, our family is devastated, said Borges. I struggled with putting this out on Twitter. I am pro-vaccine. We vaccinated my own 14-year-old son as soon as it was available. I know it is mostly safe, but Jacob is dead now. Mostly safe. That sounds like Princess Bride. He's mostly dead. We'll bring him back to life, but he's mostly dead. Okay? And you know what? Twitter banned somebody reporting on this. All they did was say that this has been reported by the CDC, and Twitter banned him. Later, they put him back online, but you know, you can't say anything in this world, even if it's true. Zero Hedge. World Health Organization says, do not give children experimental vaccine. This was the World Health Organization 2 weeks ago. Okay, wait. Children should not be vaccinated for the moment. There is not yet enough evidence on the use of vaccines against COVID-19 in children to make recommendations for children to be vaccinated against COVID-19. This week, Epic Times, World Health Organization alters COVID-19 vaccine recommendations, no longer says children should not be vaccinated. So they said don't, and now they say it doesn't matter either way. Do what you want, okay? They were not firm that they should be. They were not firm that they shouldn't be, but they have altered what they were saying. From AAPS, which is like the American Association of Practicing Surgeons or something, whatever it is. It's something similar to that. From the AAPS website. Majority of physicians decline COVID shots, according to survey. Of the 700 physicians responding to an internet survey by the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, nearly 60% said they were not fully vaccinated against COVID. This contrasts with the claim by the American Medical Association that 96% of practicing physicians are fully vaccinated. I guess it depends on who you listen to. From Zero Hedge. Perspex screens. Here we call it a plexiglass. Thank you. In the UK, they call it Perspex. Okay. Perspex screens installed to stop COVID may have actually increased its spread, according to a UK government report. Yes, a leaked Whitehall document suggests that Perspex screens installed to stop the transmission of COVID-19 may actually have increased its spread. Problems include, this is the government, quote, problems include them not being positioned correctly, with the possibility that they are actually increasing the risk of transmission by blocking airflow. Therefore, there is clear guidance to ministers that these Perspex screens should be scrapped. Despite the report, government ministers said there is no plan to change the advice on installing the screens in businesses. IHOP, yeah, they took them all down. We went there yesterday after mission work, and all the screens are down. You got freedom to breathe. The state of morality, it's declining. Here's some news on that. Mail Online. Illinois city of Evanston cancels Independence Day parade over COVID-19 concerns, but allows Juneteenth and Pride celebrations to take place in person. Yeah. I would sue if I was in that town. I would bring a suit against whoever made that decision. And if they yielded, I would still press forward with the suit. Yahoo! Sesame Street introduces its first married gay couple, making a bold statement for LGBTQ/LMNOP visibility. Mail Online. The Olympics' first transgender athlete Team sparks outrage after picking a transgender woman weightlifter who competed as a man until 2013, as rivals call it a bad joke. Okay, this guy could not win anything. He was a loser from the word go. And so he said, I am now a female. And he wins everything. And so they have put him from New Zealand in the weightlifting category, and he will go in there and he'll win everything. And the only people that are going to be harmed by this are the women. Okay? But if you want to see something, it was Babylon Bee does, articles. You read them and they're funny. Babylon Bee has its YouTube channel as well. And they have videos that are very, very good. They really poke at you. Now, because it's sarcasm, they cannot take them down. Okay, they label it as sarcasm to let you know that. They came out with a motorcycle video this past week. A guy on a motorcycle saying, I identify as a bicyclist. And he's just zooming by him. He's Mr. Loser. He can't win anything on his motorcycle. He's so bad he doesn't know how to run it. He starts walking it along in a motorcycle race and people are zipping by him. And finally he realizes that I identify as a bicyclist. And so here he is. Guess who they're picking on, okay? Yes. But you can't say it because it's sarcasm. I love the Babylon Bee. Watch it. Support them. Breitbart, LGBT charity calls on teachers to say learner instead of boy and girl. Yeah. Christian headlines. Nickelodeon's ratings drop as the network pushes LGBT content to children. Nickelodeon is seeing a dramatic drop in viewership as the network continues to push its agenda-related content on its programming. Pirates and Princesses, an independent news blog, noted the children's network has lost over 2/3 of its audience in the past 4 years. From RC, New York City Public Transit posts signs threatening to kill people who are disrespectful to trans people. Yes. No, I'm not kidding. Metro Transit Authority posted the following sign stating, remember, respect trans people or your pronouns will be was and were. Can you imagine if the Republican Party said something like that, even kiddingly, like during a comedy sketch or something? And that is posted right there on the New York City MTA for everybody to be threatened by. Some other news from around the world. And please be sure to check out the Superior Word sermons. All right? I would ask you not to just watch prophecy updates from week to week to week, but also to check the sermons out because that is where you will find the Word of God. From The Guardian. Potentially the worst drought in 1,200 years. Scientists on the scorching U.S. heat wave. That's their commentary. It's the worst drought in 1,200 years. This current drought is potentially on track to become the worst that we've seen in at least 1,200 years, and the reason is linked directly to human-caused climate change. Well, what did I just read you?
1,200 years.
1,200 years. So what happened 1,200 years ago? If they had it then, and there weren't any humans or some Indians out there just having bonfires, was it their fault? From Weasel Zippers. Democrat-run Atlanta rocked by rising crime. A 50% rise in violent assaults. No kidding. Breitbart. Atlanta Mayor Bottoms. Crime spike partially due to Georgia opening early. We had people traveling here. So she's blaming people that traveled to Atlanta for their spike in crime. Can you imagine that? Bottoms further stated that the pandemic has contributed to the crime surge and that police forces across the country are struggling to retain and attract officers. That woman doesn't have a clue. No. She is without a single brain in that head of hers. JTN. Chicago Mayor Lightfoot says racism, public health emergency, to use CDC pandemic funds to address. She's going to take government funds for the COVID and she's going to use it to address racism. The Democrat mayor has diverted $10 million from COVID-19 funds to help with the racism emergency in Chicago. Can you imagine that? Has anybody seen a picture of her? Yeah. She looks just like Beetlejuice. You ever seen that movie? She looks just like him. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I want to tell you something about racism. I want everybody here to remember the stats that I'm going to give you, because this comes to my mind once in a while when I'm out working, and I just want people to have this available. so that when somebody argues about, have you ever heard the term America was built on the back of blacks?
Yes, right.
I've heard that a million times. Okay, I want you to know this is from Ken Burns, his documentary on the Civil War. He's a lefty, so he wasn't making anything up. He was just citing statistics and facts. Okay, Ken Burns, go watch he does a great job. Anything he does a documentary on, he does a great job. In his documentary on the Civil War, please remember this. He says that the entire economy of the South, okay, that's the bad guys in this, right? The entire economy of the South, that's where all the blacks are. Everybody got that? They're picking cotton. The entire economy of the South was less than 1/4 of the economy of New York State alone. Everybody got that? Remember that statistic. So when somebody tells you that America was built on the back of black slaves, you can tell them that the South's entire economy was 1/4 of the economy of New York State alone. If you don't believe me, go watch the documentary and you'll get some good history, some great stuff. I love watching Ken Burns, but it's right there in that documentary, okay? Remember those stats and learn to tell people the truth about this nation.
You'll be canceled.
Yeah, I'll probably be canceled for saying that, but it's Ken Burns who put it in his documentary. Okay, Mail Online. Fed up Washington Square Park residents. You hear what's going on up there? Listen to this. They're too scared to demand cops stop out-of-control raids for fear of being labeled racist. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You have nothing to lose because you are already a racist because you are white or Asian or anything other than black in this country. So just complain. Yeah, I've got a brother over here who identifies as a black female. So you can't be racist against him, okay? All right. Let's see here. Weasel Zippers. NBC Rochester on violence that just won't stop while city cut millions of dollars from police. What do you expect? Weasel Zippers. Crime in Uber left Austin, Texas, rising after police budget cut by city council. What do you expect? Okay, CNN. U.S. law enforcement very nervous about proactive policing as gun violence soars. Amazing. Mail Online. Fury as New York prosecutors drop looting charges against hundreds arrested during riots last summer, with Manhattan DA too busy building his case against Trump. Out of 603 arrests, 295 cases have been dismissed by prosecutors. Only 93 reached conviction, mostly on lesser charges with no jail time. They're too busy trying to frame the President of the United States of America instead of doing their job.
So Trump saves more.
Yes, absolutely. Mail Online. New York City lost more jobs than any other American city during COVID at 3 times the national unemployment rate and still has a deficit of 500,000 jobs, data shows. New York City has an 11.8% decline in jobs between February 2020 and April of this year. The country saw a decline of 4.3% in jobs during that same period. The whole country, 4.3%. They had 11.8% in New York City. Of the 20 largest cities in the country, San Francisco had 10.5% and LA 10.3%. Philly saw a 9% decline in jobs, while Chicago saw a 6.7% decline. All of them are above the national average of 4.3%. Meanwhile, Austin saw a 1.5% decline in jobs between February last year and April this year. Jacksonville saw a 1.6% decline. So where you have Republican governors, you didn't have the same problems that you have everywhere else. People ought to just clue into these things. Epic Times. Woke ideology mimics precursors to totalitarian slaughter, experts say. Some of the core tenets of the woke ideology spreading around the country mimic ideas used to justify many of the most horrendous atrocities of the past century, according to several experts, as well as a recent documentary exploring the topic. The documentary, called Better Left Unsaid, concludes that the self-identified radical left endorses 4 fundamental truths that they hold to be self-evident, and that these tenets have also been used to justify and incite many of the worst massacres of the 20th century. The first of the four claims is that the world is best viewed through a group oppression narrative lens. The second claim is that evidence of oppression is the inequality between groups. The third claim is that peaceful dialogue and understanding between the groups is impossible since the dominant group's strategy is to retain power. So you can't say anything at all because you're not going to be believed anyway, is what they're saying. Finally, the ideology at least implicitly acknowledges that because of the above, violence is justified to eradicate the inequalities. These four tenets, Jai Mungal, he's the guy that did this, demonstrated are common to many of the most brutal massacres and regimes of the 20th century, from the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany to communist China and the genocide in Rwanda. In each case, an entire class of society is painted as unfairly privileged. Have you heard that in America lately? And as such, inherently oppressive, with little regard to specific actions of the individual members of the group. Meanwhile, disagreement with or mere disinterest in this classification is taken as support for the perceived oppression. With reconciliation through dialogue taken off the table, the only remaining recourse is a conflict, a revolutionary action where violence is seen as inevitable and ultimately preferable. Mail Online. Secret China plot to declare the Great Barrier Reef as ecologically in danger threatens to wipe $6 billion from the Australian economy and destroy 60,000 jobs. Now, why would they do this? It's because Australia has been having a tiff with them, and they are using their influence in the United Nations to destroy the economy of Australia. Secret ploy by China could see Great Barrier Reef officially listed as in danger. Beijing is using a UN committee to have the health of the reef downgraded. A status change could ruin the $6.4 billion economy. Controversial decision is expected to be ratified by the World Heritage Committee. Epic Times. Nebraska governor sending state troopers to U.S.-Mexico border amid immigration crisis. So not only is Florida sending our guys over there, Nebraska is as well. Yes, thumbs up. Zero hedge. Thermostats. Oh, I thought I'd throw this in. Many of you have heard this. Many of you sent me videos. I appreciate it, but I want you to know that what you have been told is not correct. You watch these videos on YouTube where people are ranting and raving. They do not do their research. They get 50 billion views. They get everybody in a tiff when nothing that they say is correct. Okay? Thermostats in Texas homes are being accessed remotely and turned up due to an energy shortage. Okay, that's true. That's true, but we'll go on. The family's smart thermostat was installed a few years ago as part of a new home security package. Many smart thermostats can be enrolled in a program called Smart Savers Texas. It's operated by a company called Energy Hub. The agreement states that in exchange for an entry into sweepstakes, electric customers allow them to control their thermostats during periods of high energy demand. They voluntarily signed up, they whine when it happens, and then everybody starts making up videos that don't tell you what's going on. How do I know these things? Because I enrolled in the FPL electricity program about I moved here in 1993. What's that, 25 years ago, almost 30 years ago? I enrolled in it. If you enroll in that program, they have the right to turn off certain pieces of equipment. They have the right to turn up your thermostat at certain points when there's a high demand, okay? They have restrictions. They cannot do it for a long amount of time. They can't do it under certain circumstances, etc. They are restricted, but they can do it. And you save money if you do it. I have saved over $1,000 on my electric bill over the past years because I voluntarily went into this. If they turn up my air conditioner or if they turn it off for 1 hour, which is agreed upon, I'm the one that signed up for it. Why would I complain about that?
Right.
Don't listen to these people without checking, because these people always have an agenda to get clicks on their YouTube videos or something like that. You get 1 million clicks, you get money in the bank. We don't monetize our videos. You're going to get the straight news here, okay?
Notice though, they did offer free stuff to sign up.
Yeah, they offer free stuff to sign up, but you're the one that is responsible for this. Does anybody know what this is? This is my signature. I am responsible for what I sign on a line. If I don't check it, that is my fault. It's not their fault. Nobody reads anymore. That's correct. Gateway Pundit. Amazing new website confirms YouTube is suppressing dislikes on Joe Biden videos as much as 600%. They have been taking a snapshot of all of his videos, okay? And they do it like every hour, and you can watch the dislikes going down, 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 600%. The most popular president in American history won by 81 million votes, and he can't get anybody to support him. Epic Times. Federal appeals court blocks judge's ruling striking down assault weapons ban. So the ban remains in effect in California. I just thought I'd give you an update on that. Zero Hedge. Professors call for hate speech protections to be extended to, anybody? Nobody read this? To animals. Yes. Nobody would like me in this. Whoever, when my animals get out of control, I tell them, I'm going to chuck you off the dock if you don't stop it. I'll stand there. I get into them. I would be in jail. If this goes through, I would be in jail. My little Chihuahua, I'm sorry, not Chihuahua, my little Dachshund. My little Dachshund walks up and I say, what did you do with your legs? Where are they? And she stands there like she's scared. Yes, but here, I'm going to read that title again so you can know how serious this is. Professors call for hate speech protections to be extended to animals. Two professors at the University of Sheffield, this is in the UK, have published a piece in the Oxford Journal of Legal Studies to extend hate speech protections to animals to deal with hateful speciesists' remarks. Doctors Josh Milburn and Alasdair Cochrane insist that such protections will help achieve a more benign human-animal relations within the society. The need for speech criminalization is based on the view that some animals do seem to have their social confidence eroded because of their awareness of the risk of violence. So when I say I'm going to chuck you off the dock if you do it again, they have their social confidence eroded. Okay, Superior Word News Service. President Trump to hold Save America rally at the Sarasota Fairgrounds on 3 July. If you are not signed up to go, please sign up, okay? I will probably not go for the simple reason that I do missions work on Saturday, and I believe that's the important thing in my life. But if anybody here can go, I would ask you to go. Support the president. The president. Support him, please, okay? Who said it? It is easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. Oh, that was so fast. I didn't even finish. Very good. Okay, yes, Mark Twain, it is. That was wonderful. It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. You know, people get online and they watch these videos about, I don't care if it's about the Nephilim or about flat earth or whatever it is, the rapture's going to happen on Saturday, and they believe it, and they believe it, and they believe it. And you tell them they're wrong, you ain't going to change their minds until it becomes OBE. And once it is, then they still believe that there was something hidden that everybody missed. Okay? Okay, let's see if you can figure out what they're talking about. This is a Lesric for you. The info is now on your nails. It's your choice as to what it entails. A chip they embed, no loss need you dread. As fashion, though, I say it fails. I think that was Kathy who did that one, so it fits. Okay, I'd like to take one moment before we finish, and I'd like to thank my wife, who is not here right now, my wife Hideko, for having put up with me for the last 37 years. Tomorrow is our 37th anniversary. So there you go. Thank you, Hideko. And speaking of Hideko, I want you to know that we have a question coming at the end of the sermon today. And whoever gets that gets this from Hideko. Okay? I'm going to show you what it is. I'm going to make the people that watch the CG report jealous. This is the largest mango that has come off our tree so far this year. Okay, we might get a bigger one later, but this is the biggest one yet. And she was so happy about the shape of it, she wanted this for herself. And when I said I want to give a big one away, she said, I want them to have it. So that's how much she loves you, is to give away her favorite mango. There you go. You will win that if you get the question at the end of the service. No looking in this folder during lunch break, okay? Okay, I've got a bit of irony here for you, and be sure, please, to share this video. From Zero Hedge, Barack Obama admits cancel culture has gone too far. The king of woke has spoke. And from Newsweek, California, facing power crisis, frets over electric car charging routines. Such is the world we live in. So from Sarasota, Florida to Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, I'm Charlie Garrett, and that is your CG report for the week.